1, 2, 3.
Welcome to Gear Tasting!
Hey guys, welcome to Gear Tasting. Today I wanted to do a short recap of our latest muster event. Muster is our annual skill-set developmental excursion that we have each year around October. So it's our chance to get one-on-one with our members on the different skills that we advocate here at ITS. So for instance, we had Caleb Causey of Caleb Causey's Lone Star Medics come out to do the medical portion. We had John Hurth of Tier Group coming out for tracking. We had my good friend Nick who came out for land navigation. Eric from ITS that came out to do a active shooter class, and we had myself who did knot tying. I also did some rappelling instruction. We got to use a really cool rappelling tower during muster that everybody really dug, those that were awake enough to actually participate, as well as, I'm trying to think of some other classes, I know we had them. I also did a personal security class. Matt Fiddler from Searpit came out to do physical security, basically some lock picking and some other things like that. So we had a pretty awesome, well-rounded muster, and everybody seemed to really dig it. So what I wanted to do today is just kind of go through some personal notes myself on some, basically some things I picked up from my own kit as we were doing some stuff. So we had kind of a night evolution where we did night land navigation, and I think I got the most lessons learned out of that particular event because me, John, Rob, and Nick all kind of stalked in on the students for a little nighttime evolution just to kind of sneak up on them, and we actually got busted. So we did pretty good up into the point someone had thermal that we didn't realize. So we got picked up on the thermal device, which it's pretty gnarly. We didn't expect anybody at muster to have a thermal monocular, but they did. So we got about 25 yards from them, which is a good enough distance to definitely have a good ambush. But yeah, we got caught. So and it wasn't due to anything that we did particularly. It was really just kind of crossing in a in kind of an unprotected, non-shadowed area that normally would have been protected if someone was looking through night vision or through their eyes, basically. But yeah, thermal got us, and that's what we weren't expecting. However, what was interesting to me are a couple of things. One is my night vision didn't work worth a shit. So I had a PVS 14 monocular and a helmet and wound up not using it a bit because it was pretty bright moonlight. It was almost unneeded when we did that evolution. So that was a big lesson learned for me. I guess every time I've used night vision, I've always needed it. So this was the first time that I had it and I really didn't need it, which was a little alarming to me. That's pretty cool conditions that I'd never been in before. And I guess, I don't know, all the times I've used night vision, which have been plenty of them, I've never had that kind of illumination out there at night. So anyway, it really just kind of didn't really pixelate it. It almost looked like the game was just crazy in the monocular and almost couldn't discern anything, so I wound up not using it. But so that was a big lesson learned from that. And then from that same little stalk that we did, I also had a lot of noise coming from my boots. So I wore my lower Renegades during that stalk, which I also brought out these Solomon Speed Assaults that I've talked about before too on Gear Tasting. These are probably my two favorite pairs of boots currently. And one thing I found is with the Speed Assaults, I was really nervous on wearing them because I had worn them while we were doing a bunch of land navigation stuff. I really put on some miles when we were running that course with students because we had two groups, so we had kind of double the distance to walk during that land nav portion. And what I found is as I was walking on some rocky terrain, I could really feel that rocky terrain through my boots a lot more than I'd realized I ever did before when I was wearing these lower Renegades. So that was one reason I switched to these during the night stuff. The other reason I switched to them is because I was nervous about stepping on a cactus and actually having a thorn go through my boots, and that's a real possibility in the area we're at in Texas. There's some pretty big cactus out there, and lots of the students typically have cactus problems. So funny story, last year one of our instructors actually sat in a cactus. So yeah, we gave him a lot of shit for that. But anyway, that's kind of my reasoning. I wanted to provide that little bit of feedback on the Speed Assaults. They're super lightweight and I love them. I just didn't want to wear them in an area where I could potentially step on something like that. So the squeakiness I did want to talk about, and an actual method for solving that. So if you have laces like Solomon's, or even just regular laces like on these little Renegades, you can actually solve the squeaking issue that's coming from the eyelet. So what happens is, as the lace rubs through the eyelet, you can actually get some squeaking from that location. So a quick little down and dirty tip to fix that is to get a candle or some wax. I happen to like sex wax. I use it on my hockey stick whenever I'm playing goalie. I'll wrap my stick with tape and then put sex wax on it to keep the snow and the ice build up from sticking to my stick. But I also used to use it for skateboarding too. I'd wax down curbs to slide on and things like that. This is actually a candle, which, you know, I grew up using sex wax and all that stuff, so I really like the smell of it. So when I found out they made candles, I was, you know, it was a no-brainer. I got some. But anyway, you can take wax from a candle, you know, and put it on your finger and actually coat the lace where it comes through the eyelet with this wax. So by taking a little bit of wax and just kind of doing that and rubbing it through the eyelet itself, you can actually wax that area, and it will cut down on the noise that it makes. Noise from an eyelet on a boot may or may not give you away or anything, but it was loud enough as we were moving through the woods at night to really kind of piss me off enough to want to do something about it. So I thought I'd talk about that on gear tasting, just as a little tip. So moving on just a little bit to some other stuff. This is, you know, the rig I've talked about plenty of times. I wore this one as we were out that night too, with a backpack and a hydration bladder. But the GPS that, you know, I've kind of touted before, that Garmin Fortrex 401, I absolutely love this GPS. It saved my ass I don't know how many times, just with the quickness that I can mark waypoints. So for instance, the land nav course that we plotted out or planned out this year, what we did is we took some stakes and we spray painted them blue. We put some, you know, a little bit of a coordinate type thing on each stake so that they had to copy down that number as they hit the stake. Really kind of like an orienteering course. So they were given a start point and coordinates. We were working off of an 8-digit grid with MGRS. And I will link to the article on MGRS below, because I really do think it's a superior way to navigate. And most 1 in 24,000 maps that use UTM are set up to use that as well. You can use that same grid overlay that's on the USGS 1 in 24,000 maps. So, and anyway, what we were doing is we were going around, we were marking the waypoints, which it's super easy to mark waypoints with this. Then we'd copy down that 8-digit grid, give it some nomenclature, and then report that back to the students and give them the actual grid coordinates. So we had, I think there was, the first course we did with them during a 101 land nav course, we used I think we used 4 points, including a start point, so there was 5 total. We gave them the start point, and then we showed them how to plot that on their maps with a protractor, and they, based on the protractor type that we had, they could actually not only figure out the distance, obviously, which is done with the scale of the map, but they could also plot the direction or bearing of travel to the next point. So that's kind of what we were doing in the land nav course, kind of letting them get a feel for what it's like to have a grid coordinate, to plot it on a map, and then actually move between those with a pace count too. So we had a pace line set up and all that good stuff. So land nav is definitely a depreciable skill and one that you really need to practice. So this is my pitch for land nav to all of you guys out there. It's real cool to do. You can, you know, grab one of these, set it to MGRS, just make sure you're looking at the datum for the map that you're going to be using, so you can plug the datum into your GPS. That can be a big issue if you don't have the right map datum, which can be found in the footer of the map. You find all that good information. But practice it with your kids. You know, set up land nav stakes, move between points, teach your kids how to navigate with a map and compass. It's definitely a skill that we advocate highly on ITS. But trying to think what else kit-wise that I had notes on. Oh, I have this little device that I put on my kit that I saw on Shark Tank. It's called a Ready Rest, and I actually have this backwards. So what it is a little magnetic device that clips on right here. And I just put this on my kit just to see how it would be used and whether it would stay together, and it actually did pretty good. But what I did is, you know, as I was transitioning to and from a wooded area that was shaded to the sun, I would just take off my sunglasses, and set them in this thing on my rig. So it was actually a really cool way to do that. And I think these things are only about $10, if even that. So it's got some real tough, I don't know, I want to call them rare earth magnets. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't, but they're super tough, and they don't really slide much at all. So I had pretty good success using that type of thing out in the field. So little tip, this is actually the package I still have from it. So it's READEREST. It's where my glasses are. So if you're out in the field with your readers, you can also put them on here too. So anyway, little tip, little product I wanted to kind of highlight that I picked up. So last but not least, we have an FTX at the end of muster. And one of the things that we've awarded every year now for the last 5 years is paddles. It's kind of a Navy tradition. So this is the paddle we awarded this year. This is an extra that we had left over because we always kind of make up an extra to display at the shop. But our good friend Eli actually produced these paddles on a CNC machine, and instead of buying pre-made paddles and and decorating them, this is actually an inlay, which is super cool. So all this colored the color you see here is actually epoxy that was inlaid and then carved over. So this was a block of wood to start out with before he CNC'd it. So wanted to highlight that technique. I thought it was super cool. This is kind of a good proof of concept for us moving forward. We're going to start doing these with musters in the future. So that's kind of our award for the guys that win, or the squad that wins for the FTX. So wanted to kind of show that too. And last but not least, I wanted to kind of highlight a little shout out I wanted to shout out first to everyone from Muster. The 5th anniversary of Muster was this year, and all the attendees typically get us a staff gift. We've never requested one, but yet they keep doing it, and we love them for it. But this year they got us these horn mugs. They're super cool. They had the Muster 5 logo engraved on them, and cheers, guys. These are awesome. I can't wait to actually use it. I was going to drink coffee out of it on gear tasting today, but I'm still not sure how to quite wash these and whether hot liquids will mess up the inside because they are made out of real horn. It's from Ale Horn if you're interested in these. So anyway, thought it was pretty cool. Cheers. And then I also wanted to shout out a little bit to one of our viewers, Billy Bogota. So I did that episode where I talked about the D&D starter kit, and I apologize for my voice. I'm still kind of getting over being hoarse from talking for 5 days, so if I sound a little strange, that's why. But yeah, he sent us a little letter here and an Amazon delivery. It says, you guys need more dice. So he sent us a 1 pound bag of dice for us to play D&D with. So thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching Gear Tasting. Remember, if you have any questions or comments, please use the pound tag Gear Tasting on any social media network, and we will get your questions answered next time. Obviously, I didn't do any questions this time. In the future, I will do questions, I promise. I usually do. If you are liking what we're doing here on Gear Tasting, please consider joining our membership below as a crew leader and allow us to give you back something in return. Thanks for watching.